How you doing, and welcome to my channel. Now today I'm having a look at something really nice. The LIMTOYS Nathan Drake from the Uncharted series, more specifically the Uncharted 4 A Thieves End game. As you can see here, we have this very shiny slipcover on the box, and it just slips off. It is transparent. This is the first layer of the box. Now LIMTOYS have put in a lot of effort on this box, even to go as far as on the back of it here they have this like lenticular effect on it. I'm actually going to put the box flat down for this part. It just shows the effect off a bit better. So here we have the lenticular effect, and I know this isn't very good in your eyes, but you can see it as you slip the box off. You can see the lenticular effect taken into, and changing as you slide the box off, and you see all those different icons and the LIMTOYS logo there. LIMTOYS didn't have to do this, but LIMTOYS have really gone above and beyond just to give us a fantastic experience with the box here and have that effect on the back of it. So moving back to the box, I know that's probably troubling your eyes right now. So back to the front of the box, we have the slip cover, this very shiny slip cover that's affecting my camera. All I'm getting is reflection at the moment, and while I'm doing that, please do hit the subscribe button, guys. It really helps out the channel. But you can see there on the transparent part all the foliage and all the leaves that are printed onto it there. So LIMTOYS have spared no expense with the box there, and I'm happy to say that I'm getting rid of this shiny part because it's really affecting my cameras and my lights. So on the inside of the slip cover we have this Libertalia coin, and it does actually rotate. If I can get my fingers in there to rotate it, it does spin, as you can see, which is again a nice little effect or detail that LIMTOYS didn't have to put in. It could have just been stuck there and nobody would have cared. You see all the details on the box, the compass and all the map on it. But LIMTOYS have put a lot of effort in on this box, and that's why I'm taking my time on it. And then on the back we have like a page over scripture or something. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the game. And then this is part of the lenticular effect, all this kind of blurred part at the center of it. And then I'll move it around, and I'm losing a bit over there. There's a sheet come out there, the instructions, some spare buttons, and we have this big flag here as well, which we'll take a look at a bit later on. But just taking this part off here, this part is magnetic, and this is the next layer. If I can just get it off, there we go. And if you turn it around, it does actually act as a backdrop for the figure again, which is really nice for LIMTOYS to do. If you want to use this part as a backdrop for the figure, you can indeed, and it really looks the part. It looks absolutely fantastic with the Libertalia coin there in the middle. I'll just move that out of the way, and then the next layer we have this sheet here where we can move the Libertalia coin a bit more freely now. And then you can see there it says Uncharted 4 A Thieves End Nathan Drake, and then removing this sheet here, or this cover, we're presented with the figure. And I'm just going to bring the lights down a little bit because I think this is a bit washed out. There we have the first layer of the figure. Underneath that tray there, there's even more accessories. There's quite a lot with this guy, but it's really presented really well. LIMTOYS have no expense spared at all. We have a small little monologue about Nathan Drake himself in the bottom corner. Really nice touch for LIMTOYS to do. Like I said, no expense spared. Really nice box. That's why I took a couple of minutes on it. So let's have a quick pan of the figure before we get into the details. There really is a lot to unpack. So here we are with a quick pan of the figure before we get into the details of him. And I have to say, I haven't had as much fun setting up a base for a figure in such a long time. The detail in this is absolutely phenomenal. There's so many different elements and pieces to it. There's so much depth to it. You can see all the coins on the ground there, all the little different parts from the different games over the years. Absolutely fantastic amount of detail in this base. It's second to none. And you can see where it says Nathan Drake on the front there, and you can actually swap that out for a plate that says Uncharted. Just move the sword out of the way. For a plate that says Uncharted 4 A Thieves End. If you want to make it game specific, I don't particularly want to make it game specific, so I'm going to be leaving the Nathan Drake. I knew that dial was going to fall. But yeah, I don't want to. I want to leave it as Nathan Drake and not have it game specific. But the details in it, look at the flag there as well, and there's so much to this base. And then moving up the figure, you can see he has a seamless wrist peg there on the right arm, which is a nice little touch for LIMTOYS to do. The wristwatch is covering up the wrist peg on the other hand. That is a swappable hand, but the wristwatch covers it up nicely. And then panning up to the head sculpts, or one of the head sculpts. And if I can just spin this around without anything falling off, you can see he has his assault rifle on his back there, and it is magnetic. It magnetizes to his back, which is absolutely fantastic, because in the game it just kind of sticks to his back. So it's nice that they've done that. And you can see his grappling hook and his pouch and that on the back of it, which is it's really, really well detailed and really nicely done. And then just moving him back around again, I do have it covered by his hand, but he does have a torch on him there, which is also magnetized to him. So there's magnets all over this figure, to be quite honest with you. It's really, really well done. So there we have it for a quick pan of the figure and the base, and we'll get into the accessories now, and we'll get into more detail in the figure as we go through it. So here we have with the start of his accessories, which is his hands. And you can see here we have a seamless right hand. Now he has a seamless right hand on him as well, which we'll take a look at a bit later on. But this one here is a trigger hand. The other one is a relaxed palm. And just looking at the detail on this, look at the vein work in that sculpt, and the paint work to it is absolutely fantastic. Even the sculpt, the mold of the muscle definition in his forearm or running through it looks absolutely incredible. The redness on the knuckles as well, and the redness on the fingers is all painted exceptionally well, and just looks the part. It really looks real. It looks absolutely fantastic. The amount of vein work and stuff on it, and even the palm of the hand is sculpted and painted really well. And then we have another right hand, which is obviously jointed if you want that option, but it does have the same vein effect running up it there, as you can see. It looks great. The paintwork is absolutely fantastic, but the definition in the muscles there is slightly different. It's like it's a tensed up forearm, like it's a clenched fist. You can see the difference there. The muscle definition is more defined to make it look like a tensed up kind of, you know, like he's clenching his fist, and it's tightening up those muscles in the forearm. It looks great. And then these two hands here, these are two left hands. You can tell obviously by the ring he's wearing. And they're painted really well. Some great vein work in them. Bit more redness in this one here. You know, this is a gripping hand, maybe for the torch or something. And that one there is just an open palm gesturing hand. But you can tell by the ring, like I said, that it is the left hand. And then we have three right hands. Now, these two hands here are absolutely identical to each other. I'm not sure why I got two identical hands in the box. I'm guessing it was a packing error, and maybe there should be a different hand in there. But painted exceptionally well. Again, the vein work. And then we have a kind of gripping hand there as well for the right hand. It's painted almost identical to all the rest of them. Looks really, really well. It's all uniformed very well. There's no colour differences. The veins all, you know, look the part. So there we have it for the accessories for his hands, or the hands that the figure comes with. So moving on. Here we have all of the accessories, which are all the bits and pieces that Drake picks up throughout the games, and his journal. Starting off, we'll have a look at Henry Avery's sword, and just having a look at the hilt of it there, you can see there are some gems in it there, two green gems and a red, and they really reflect off the light. You can see the grip there is painted quite nicely. There's a bit of wear on it, a bit of scuffing on it to, you know, make it look like it's been handled. And the detail in it is absolutely fantastic. It is plastic. You can see the skull and bones there, because Henry Avery was a pirate, and he was a British pirate, and he frequented the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean, if my memory serves me correctly. So we do have the pirate skull and bones on it there, and the green and red gems, really nicely detailed, and there's a nice wash running through it there. And the blade of it there itself is actually made of die cast, which gives it a bit of weight. Not too much weight, but it gives it a little bit of weight and gives it that extra bit of realism to it as well. It's a nice little touch for LIMTOYS to put the die cast blade in. Really nicely done, really nice accessory, and really looks the part if I can get focused on it. Like I said, quite nicely detailed. Then we have the phurba dagger, and you can see there, just like the sword, no attention to detail left out. We have the little blue gem on the forehead of the faces that are throughout the knife. The detail on the handle is absolutely fantastic. And then we have this kind of rope twisting effect on the blade, which has a wash in it as well to give it a bit of depth, and it just looks just like the dagger in the game. And that's from part 2. That's the phurba dagger from Among Thieves. And then we have the Saint Dismas cross. And this cross, anybody who is familiar with Saint Dismas knows that he was crucified next to Jesus. What was it, the repentful thief or something like that? And it's detailed really well. It looks absolutely exceptional. I think Nathan Drake breaks it open and finds a scroll or something in the game. Quite nicely detailed. You can see the details of the face in it. You can see the rope around his arms there. You can see the body, the abs, and all detail. It is all plastic. And then on the back of it there, we do have some Latin. I do not speak Latin, so I do not know what that says. Then we have the dial from part 3. And this, unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, it's not the end of the world, but it doesn't rotate like it did in the game. But we know in this, is it the start of part 3, isn't it, that he acquires this when he was a young boy, and he holds on to it, and it is kind of a centerpiece to the storyline of part 3. Very well detailed. You can see all the details on the back of it there, just like it did in the game. And there's a nice wash running through that gold, which gives it a bit of depth, so it does absolutely look the part and looks absolutely fantastic. Then we have the black skull from part 1, Drake's Fortune. Not highly detailed, but it does look like the skull from part 1. There's a bit of a glossy effect in the eyes there. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but it does the job. It looks the part, and it's a nice little addition. And then we have Drake's journal. And you can see there, I'm not sure if that's picking up on camera, but it does say Libertalia on the front of it there. And then Nathan Drake, or ND, his initials on the bottom corner. And it is wrapped, an elastic is wrapped around it as well. And I'll just take that off. And as you can see there, every single page has details in it, extremely accurate to the game. It looks absolutely fantastic to have that kind of detail in it there. I'm going to actually bring that light down. Forgive me for that being so whitewashed. I hope it's a bit clearer now. All the details, all the pages out of the book from the game, every single page has a bit of detail in it and is accurate to the game and looks absolutely fantastic. You have Drake's drawings there and the cross there, and yeah, all the details out of the game. It's just absolutely fantastic attention to detail by LIMTOYS. So there we have it for the trinkets or the accessories that he does have with him throughout the games. So moving on, we'll have a look at his personal accessories. And next up, like I said, is personal accessories. And before we get into those, I'm just going to point out that we are given a flight pole with him as well, which again, a great addition from LIMTOYS to give us a flight pole as well as a crotch grabber. Not many figure companies give you both, so it's nice that we have the options to be able to put him into dynamic poses or just have him standing on the crotch grabber. So it's really nice to have that addition. So moving in, we'll have a look at his personal accessories, and starting off, we'll have a look at his assault rifle. Can't remember what it's called, HS-32 or something like that in the game. This isn't based on any real weapon. It's kind of got elements of other weapons in it, like The stock there looks like a scar stock. There's elements of a FAL or an FNC, should I say. It's got like an FNC barrel. It looks like it takes some kind of AK mag. So it's kind of a mashup of several different real weapons, but it's not actually a real weapon itself. It does have a folding stock in it there, which is absolutely fantastic for them to add in that folding stock. That's incredible. And it does extend as well. I love this thing. I think it's absolutely amazing. I love it. And as you're seeing there, it does have a removable mag, so it is highly detailed. It looks absolutely phenomenal, and it is magnetic as well, as we've seen on the pan of the figure, that it does attach to his back by magnet, which is again just a great little touch. And he has different magnets all around the figure, you know. It's great to do that. And then what he has here is his pack 45. Was it called? Was it called a pack 45? It kind of reminds me of a Makarov PM, to be honest with you. But I think in the game it's called a pack 45, if my memory serves me correctly. But anybody who knows that pistols knows that it should recoil backwards. The slide should recoil backwards, but it recoils forwards. It only recoils forwards. That's because of this little knob here on the bottom of the front part of the slide. This little knob here. It doesn't allow it to actually, if I can get it back in. Come on, there we go. It doesn't allow it to actually recoil backwards like a real weapon would. So it's kind of null and void to have that mechanism, because it doesn't recoil realistically backwards, which is unfortunate. And it does have, if I can get it out there, it does have a removable magazine as well, with a full mag. And it has a nice enough wood grip effect on it too, with some wash running through it, and it's got kind of some insignia in the middle of it there. Kind of, I think it's supposed to be a mock-up of a Beretta insignia on that. I'm not sure. But you can see the detail of the red dot where the safety is as well. And then we have his torch. And his torch kind of really reminds me of an old military torch. It doesn't function. It doesn't switch on or anything. There's no moving parts to it. It does have this mock-up kind of clip on the side of it there. And it has a really nice wash running through it to make it look used. And you can see kind of a bulb effect in the middle of it there as well. And again, as I said, this is magnetic, as we've seen on the pan of the figure. It just magnetizes to his hip. And you can see it trying to magnetize to the gun there as well. So, and then we have this little orange pick with the ring in it. And that slides into his pouch on his back. And it's painted quite well. It looks battered and beaten and used, and there's no paint left on the tip of it there where it's, you know, being used, and looks really good. And I like the way this kind of, this round part on it there, the ring is free on it, you know. Then we have his grappling hook, and you can see it's kind of all pinched together with this little clip here, and the grapple effect on it there does open up if you so choose to open up that, you know, rope and put it in his hands. You can actually open the grapple part up. But I've no intentions on untying it from that loop, and the way it's kind of presented right now, I think I'm just going to be leaving it like that on his back. So there we have it for all of the accessories for the figure. So moving on, let's take a look at the base. Don't worry guys, we're getting there. We will get to the figure eventually. Just having a look at the base in detail, one of the best bases I've seen in a long time on a 1/6 scale figure, and this is a third party figure as well. I have to add that this is more like a Hot Toys DX than a third party figure, to be honest. You can see the details to it there, the depth to the base, and inside there you can see all the riches and the treasures inside, and the coins, the Libertalia coins sitting on it there. We have the crotch grabber attached to it there. Like I said, we got a flight pole as well, which is fantastic. Then we have all the stands for all the bits and pieces that he comes with, and it's great use of the accessories. They don't just sit in the box, they can actually go on the stand. You can see the phurba dagger goes there, the skull from Drake's Fortune goes there, the cross goes here on this part here, and then the dial goes on this part here. So it is a very well detailed base and a great use of all the accessories that come in the box. And then we have this pirate flag here as well, and it's all tattered and ripped, and it's made of a really soft, nice material, and it does have a wire running through the top of it there, just to be able to kind of manipulate it and get it sitting right. I would have liked the wire in the bottom of it as well, but that probably would have made it more rigid, so I can see why they didn't put the wire in the bottom of it. Really nice soft material, and on the back we also have the pirate's skull and bones as well. So one of the best bases I've seen on a 6 scale figure in a very long time, and it's definitely a base that's worth using. And as I mentioned earlier on, we do have the Uncharted 4 plate that goes on the front if you so choose. That skull just keeps falling off. And like I said, it has the Uncharted 4 plate that goes on the front of it as well. And now I've lost the dial as well. So there we have it for the base. Absolutely fantastic. And here we are here for the main event. And I know we're 20 minutes in and we're only just getting to the figure. But I do feel that this is such a high quality figure and all of the accessories that I did want to take my time with it and give a good in-depth review of it. This is really like a Hot Toys DX, to be honest. But starting off in my usual fashion, we'll have a look at his footwear. And probably the most underwhelming part of the figure itself is his footwear. There's just, in my opinion, not enough wash or weathering in them. There is a little bit of a dry bush on the toe there on the front of it, but I do believe there should be a bit more weathering on them. They should be a bit more scuffed, and the laces aren't really defined very well. There is not huge definition in them. I do like the way the eyelets are done, but if you have a look at the lace at the top of it, there isn't even a loop. There isn't even a tied off part. They just end. So there could have been a bit more effort put into the footwear, but it's not the end of the world. It's not, a huge deal. But I would just like to have seen a bit more weathering in them, given the adventures and the deeds that he gets up to. And as you can see there as well, just rolling up the trouser leg, you can see there's also a pair of socks on him as well, which is, again, a nice little attention to detail from LIMTOYS, and a nice little touch just to add those socks. A lot of companies don't do it, especially third-party companies. And moving up to his trousers, you can see that they are quite well detailed, in the sense that they're not just a light brown pair of trousers. There is quite a lot of weathering put in them. You can see there, the weathering that's put up in this area here, and all the way down the leg of them. On the knees there's some weathering, and it's a paint on, so it makes them a little bit rigid, but they're not too rigid. They're still, they can still be moved. And around the back, all still uniformed as well. The back pockets stitching is just a tiny little bit oversized, very marginally, but the stitching down the side of the leg is really well done. It's absolutely on point. It's second to none, this stitching. It's fantastic. Even the detail in the jeans there, if I could just move this hand out of the way, the little studs that are on the jeans as well, as you can see, and we do get spare ones in the box, but you can see the little studs there on the corners of the pockets, just to give it that accuracy. Moving up, we have his belt, and it feels like pleather to me. I'm sad to report, not overly impressed with the pleather. They could have went that extra mile and put the leather in, given it's such a high quality figure. They could have just put the leather in and probably made it the perfect figure and just topped it off, and just probably made it the perfect figure if I would have had the leather in it. It is what it is. You can see there we have a little loop at the back, which is also pleather with a little magnet on it for clasping it, and that is for attaching his grappling hook on, as you can see there, which looks the part and does the job. Looks really good. And then we have the orange pick that goes onto his fully plastic molded pouch. It's non-functioning, it's plastic mold, but you can see there that the orange spike goes into the side of that. And I'm just going to go through the magnets real quick while I have the chance. We have also got the magnet here for the torch, and then we have a magnet either side of his back, a magnet this side and a magnet on this side of his back for whichever way you want to pose him or put the assault rifle on his back. So there are some fantastic details in this figure. Some absolutely fantastic details. Those magnets, that idea of the magnets and that, I know it's been done before, but just to have so many magnets on him is absolutely fantastic. And the harness on around him there is his holster, his weapon holster, and his mag pouch holster, it's all made out of pleather as well, which is a bit unfortunate. And it's not spotless, it's not clean. There's quite a bit of speckling running through it there to make it look a bit dirty and grimy and used. And we have the studs there that we again have more spares of. I would have liked to have seen the leather just to finish this figure off and make it the perfect figure. Like I said, some speckling through it, and you can see there, if I just move his arm again, you can see on his holster there, that is also speckled as well, just there on the weapon holster. There's quite a lot of kind of sandy, kind of gritty effect to it there to give it that bit of weathering, and absolutely looks the part, and really kind of all the weathering on it pulls it all together. It ties the whole outfit together. And just, you can see his magazine pouches there as well, bit of speckling on them as well. And inside this pouch here, there's a little Easter egg that LIMTOYS leave you to find all by yourself, let's just say. And it is, if I can get it out there, I'm going to need a tweezers, and I'll just pinch this out. And there is this little bonus of a 6 scale Libertalia coin, and I am going to try and get closer in there so we can punch in on the details. There we go, a Libertalia coin, 6 scale, which is a nice little touch for LIMTOYS to just stick in the pouch there and not tell you anything about the details on it. Are absolutely fantastic. It does have the correct kind of details to it, and absolutely looks the part. I think it's great, and it's nice that they put it in and don't tell you and leave it up to yourself to find. I'll just put that aside. And then we have his blue t-shirt, which he's wearing in part 4, which I would have honestly liked an option to change it out to the white ribbed one that he wears in the earlier games. I do prefer that one, to be honest, but you can't get everything. Just let me close these up here. And again, just to mention, more magnets, magnetized clips on these here as well. So like I said, magnets everywhere. Yeah, so the weathering all through the t-shirt as well. I do have a little bit of a gripe with it. This part of the collar doesn't line up with this part, as you can see there. I'm not sure if it's just my one or if they're all like that, but I would have liked to have seen them just line up with each other a bit better. I think it would have looked much better. You can kind of see now that I've mentioned it, that it doesn't line up, and it's just a little bit of a nuisance. It's a little bit unsightly. It's not the end of the world, but like I said, all the weathering running through it, all the dirt and grime, you can see there, even on the side there, you can see the shape of his tricep and the definition in his arms. Looks really good. The weathering running through the t-shirt all around the back as well. It is very well detailed and very naturally weathered. You know, it doesn't look like it's just randomly scattered throughout it. You know, I'm going to have to snip something off there, snip that little bit of loose material off there. But it is a very well weathered t-shirt. And then we have his watch. And if I can get it to focus there and get it punched in a bit, it's detailed quite well. I've no complaints about the watch. If I can just get in there and get some focus. Very nicely detailed watch. It's got hands in it there. It's got all the dials in it there. It's even got a date kind of section to it there. Very nicely detailed. Unfortunately, I'm struggling with the camera here. I do apologize. So let me get this guy a little bit more stable and a bit more closer, and we'll take a look at the head sculpts. And starting off with head sculpt number 1, the head sculpt that comes with him, that he comes with out of the box. And as you can see there, it's painted quite well. But before I get into the head sculpt, I do want to point out or mention his neck and his chest area there. I'm not sure if it's picking up on camera there. I'm pretty sure it is. But you can see the little speckles of what looks like a gloss lacquer or something like that's been speckled onto his chest. I hope that's picking up on camera. I'm pretty sure it is. But it's to give this kind of sweaty look off him, like he's sweaty. And it's a really nice detail to put in there. I'm trying to change the angles there to get it to kind of reflect off the light, so you can see that sweaty look that's, that's all over the neck and the chest area. It looks absolutely fantastic to put that little attention to detail in, and just brings them to life a bit more, just to have that effect put on them. And even around the back of the neck is done as well, with that kind of wet effect to him, like he's sweating. And I'm sure it's just a speckled gloss lacquer. So it's a really nice effect, And I want to add as well, if you can just see, if I just bring the light down a bit again, you can see the vein work in his neck there. You see that vein running up his neck is really, really nice. Bit of detail on the figure. Just to have just that vein running up his neck just adds that bit more realism to it, It looks absolutely incredible. So onto the head sculpt itself. Really nicely done, really nicely painted. Really looks like Nathan Drake in part 4. You can see the 5 o'clock shadow on his face there, which is blended in really nicely. It's got some depth to it. The rosiness to his cheeks as well, as you can see, and around the ears there's a nice little bit of rosiness to it as well. I don't quite have that head sculpt on far enough. There's a nice little rosiness to the kind of the earlobes and that, which looks the part. As for the hair sculpt, it's sculpted quite well. I'm not underwhelmed with it. There's a nice little bit of detail to it. You can see some individual strands there. Again, I'm going to bring that light back up again so we can see the hair a bit better. Nice little individual stranding done to it there. The back of it has a bit of depth to it as well. You can see some deep crevices there in it, which really looks the part. And it's molded quite well, and especially up in this area here, there's quite a bit of depth to it there, and his head is just popped off there. It's not the most secure head in the world. You can see there that there is, a bit of detail in the crown area there as well, which is really nicely done. And they've even kind of put a nice light brown wash through it and dry brushed it as well to separate those strands and show you the depth in the mold. And on the tips of it there at the front, you can see there is some dry brushing of the lighter brown, and it catches the light quite well. It absolutely looks the part, and it just separates some of those strands of hair and really adds that bit of depth. The sculpt is really well done. The texture in the sculpt is done quite nice as well. I'm going to bring that light back down a bit. It's sculpted quite decently. You can see those contusions or those cuts in his head and his nose there aren't just painted on. They are actually molded in the sculpt, and it adds that extra layer of realism to have that bit of depth to them, and it really looks the part. That is not just a bit of flat paint put onto the sculpt. Really love that. I just think that detail of that vein running up the neck is just incredible. And you can see how accurate the hair is to the game as well, that it spikes up so far just like it does in the game, and he has these loose little strands just sitting down on his forehead, which looks the part as well. So it really does look the part. It really does look like Nathan Drake, and I think they've done an absolutely stellar job at this head sculpt. And the details they've put in, the eyebrows are done well, the eyes are done quite well, and there's a slight little crease in his forehead as well, just to add that little bit of depth as well. So overall, I'm really impressed with pretty much the majority of this figure. There's not much I'm not impressed with. There are a few kind of little bits, but moving on to the next head sculpt will lead me on to one of those things that I'm not impressed with. And here we have the second head sculpt that he comes with, the alternate head sculpt. Not my favourite head sculpt, not my favourite expression. I do prefer the other one, and anybody with a keen eye will see immediately why. Because this eye here, his right eye, is turned in further than his left eye. And he looks a bit cross-eyed, and I just, every time I look at it, I can't even bring myself to consider putting this head sculpt on him. And on top of that, his mouth expression, I'm not a big fan of as well. I don't have an issue with the teeth or anything, but if you look closely, it looks like he kind of has an overbite. If his lower teeth aren't in front of his top set, they're at least just on the same level as them. It just makes him look like he's got a bit of an overbite, which which is another reason why I won't be using the sculpt. And I just think he looks, with the cross eye and the overbite, how do I put this? He looks like a bit of a doofus. For me, this sculpt makes him look like a bit of a doofus, and it's not it's not a sculpt I'll be using. It's painted quite well. It's on par with the other sculpt for painting. The hair sculpt is absolutely identical to the other head sculpt, but just the mouth expression and that turned in eye and the lack of the contusions on his face are what makes this one not as good as that one there, you know, in my opinion. But we will do a side by side in just a moment. I just can't get over that slight little cross-eyed effect on him there. It just looks really bad, not to mention the overbite. So let's do a side by side on these two and just point out the differences, I suppose. And here we have both head sculpts side by side. And, you know, obviously the obvious parts are the open mouth and the closed mouth, and then he has obviously the contusions, the, you know, the cuts on his nose and his forehead. The hair sculpt is identical as far as I can tell. Is it identical? It might be slightly different actually, looking at that there. I didn't realise. But yeah, the hair sculpt is slightly different. I have only just spotted that now. But apart from that, everything is the same. You know, it's just the fringe of the hair sculpt, I suppose, that's different. The texture to the sculpt, the stubbly part looks really good. You know, the side profile there on that side looks more or less identical. It's this side here that looks the most different. You know, with the cuts on his face and the blood. So yeah, I just do prefer the head sculpt on the left hand side, and again for obvious reasons, because of that slightly turned in eye that he has, and just the mouth expression, it just looks like he has a slight overbite. So that pretty much is everything for that particular figure. Please don't hesitate to hit that like and subscribe button, guys. It really does help out the channel. Every like and every subscription helps to grow the channel and inspires me to try and get these videos as best I can and give as much detail in the figures as I can when I'm doing these videos. I had great fun posing this guy. I really had a lot of fun posing this guy, and there's quite a few pictures up there because I had so much fun posing him. There's so many different options for him. Having that, you know, flight pole as well gives you other options for posing them, and yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic figure. And if you can get your hands on it, guys, and you're into the Uncharted games, do that, get the figure. So thanks a lot for watching and take care.